a very warm welcome to the session. This is Sweta Roy, your English Master Teacher at Vedantu. And guys, today we have another amazing session to delve into another super amazing chapter to actually learn from. Yes, and that is His First Flight by Lionel Flaherty. It's an amazing story, and this is actually the very first part of the chapter 2 stories about flying. Okay, so we will be dealing with the very first story from the two stories, right? So guys, His First Flight by Lionel Flaherty, and I am 100% sure you would be enjoying the chapter thoroughly and also inculcating the lesson, because this is going to be a very motivating story for all of you. Okay, so let me see the Josh that you have, guys. Quickly, let me see how is the Josh, everyone. Quickly type in the chat, everyone. So guys, those of you who do not know me, I am your master teacher Sweta Roy. I have pursued my masters in English and B.Ed and have more than a year of teaching experience. I have also qualified CTET and mentored 20,000 plus students both online and offline. And as you know guys, you should be feeling empowered in all the sessions, especially related to literature and language, because literature and language gives you the power to express yourselves, and that's what I'm going to unleash, because I believe that each one of you are empowered, and I can act as a medium with the help of literature and language to unleash the power that is latent within all of you. So before the start of the session, I want each one of you to type in the chat, we are all empowered. Yes, guys. So come on, people. Here is your weekly schedule. One after another, amazing sessions, guys. Please don't forget to take a screenshot and don't miss out on any session. And in case you have not subscribed to the channel, don't forget to even do that. Okay, so we would be beginning with the word of the day given by Anil. A big round of applause for Anil, and the word is alacrity. Alacrity means brisk and cheerful readiness. That means alertness, basically, right? She accepted the invitation with alacrity. That means she was not exactly alertness, I'm sorry. It means readiness. Okay, that means she's so very happy and very eagerly she accepted the invitation. That's how Anil has used this particular word alacrity, right? So alacrity means cheerful readiness. So use this particular word in your own sentence, guys. Don't forget to do that, and kindly make a sentence with the word alacrity right here, right now in the chat box. I want to see. Let's see what constructive way and innovative way can you use this word in your own sentences right now, guys. Don't forget to do that, and don't forget to post your word of the day at the end of the session. ठीक है बच्चा वाड़ी? So have you all made your sentences? Everyone, hurry up, go ahead and make a lovely sentence, an innovative sentence, guys, from this particular word, alacrity. Okay, so till then, you type your sentences, and I am going to applaud for the homework rockers of the previous session, the thief story. Ananya, Noel, Vinita, Jenny, Vaishnavi, and Rahul. Big round of applause for our homework rockers, and a gentle reminder to all of you, do not forget to post your answers in the comment section and get the chance to be the next homework rocker for this particular session. Yes, guys? So now we would be delving into the session, but before that, make sure you have hit the like button, show some love, guys. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and you have posted your comments for the word of the day along with the homework answer that I would be showing you at the end of the session. So please do stay tuned, and we would be beginning with a very interesting riddle. And I want you all to think about this riddle, and we will be discussing this at the end of the session. The riddle says you can carry it everywhere you go and it does not get heavy. What is it? You can carry it everywhere you go and it does not get heavy. What is it? Think, and we will come to the answer at the end of the session. We would be discussing this at the end of the session, guys. ठीक है बच्चा बाड़ी? So now let's move ahead with the story and the writer. So Liam of Laherty has written the very first story, his first flight. He is an Irish novelist and short story writer, and he was writing during the first part of the 20th century, which means the modern age, right? So he wrote about the common people experiences, and definitely he served on the Western Front as a soldier. So this is an interesting fact about Liam of Laherty, that he also served on the Western Front as a soldier in the Irish Guards from 1916 and was badly injured in 1917. After the war, he was a founding member of the Communist Party of Ireland. Right, guys? So Irish novelist Liam of Laherty. Let's see what has he written in this particular story and what is the message for all of us in this particular story, his first flight. Okay, so the story, his first flight, gives an account of a young seagull who is afraid to fly. Okay, the story goes on to show how eventually, with his mother's help, the young seagull conquers his fear and completes his first flight in triumph. So that is all about the title, his first flight. So he successfully completes his first flight, although initially he is terrified. Okay, he is hesitant to venture into his very first flight. ठीक है? But he conquers his fear, and that reminds me of another chapter that is about Nelson Mandela, where he said that everyone has fear. It is common for us to have fear, but who is victorious? The one who overcomes that fear is the one who gains victory, right? That is what Nelson Mandela says in his A Long Walk to Freedom. So let's now delve into the story where this young seagull overcomes his fear of flying, and let's see how he actually makes his very first flight and what is the lesson for all of us, what is the life lesson for all of us from this particular story. Okay? So let's see, guys. Ready to rock the session, everyone? Quickly let me know in the chat. Give me some hearts and give me a quick let's rock so that we can rock in the entire session. And we have super amazing question and answers, MCQ questions only and only for you people. And I want each one of you to participate wholeheartedly throughout the session. Do you promise? Do you promise to do that, everyone? Give me a quick high five and let's begin with the chapter, guys. This is how the session flow would be looking like. We will have the summary of the chapter, followed by vocabulary, quiz questions, and we would be wrapping the session up with your homework question. So quick summary of the chapter. The young seagull stood alone on the ledge. So as I told you that we would be talking about a family of seagull, right? So the youngest of them was afraid to fly and he stood alone. Okay. And a day ago, he had watched his brothers and sisters taking their very first flight. Though their wings were shorter than his, they had to run to the brink and then they jumped. That is how they flew. And his mother and father called him shrilly. That means the mother and the father wanted the young seagull to also take that initiative, take his first flight and jump from the ledge so that he could use his wings and finally fly. But the young seagull was very, very afraid. Okay, the moment he looked at the sea below, he was really afraid and he hesitated to take his first flight. And then the parents of the young seagull threatened him to starve finally when he did not jump. So even after taking all the measures, even after rebuking him, constantly taunting him, when they failed to make him muster up the courage and take his first flight, the final decision that they took is to starve him, and that is how they threatened him, right? But he was still afraid to jump. He still could not gather the courage. It was a long way down and he was certain that his wings would not support him. So the moment he looked at the vast expanse of the sea, he got terrified and he thought that his wings could not support him. And now he was alone on the ledge under the blazing sun. And he had also not eaten anything since the last night because his parents they stopped giving him food. Okay, and they threatened to starve him, and they therefore were starving him. They said that if you want to have your food, go fetch it yourself by taking your first flight. We are not going to feed you anymore. That's what the parents had decided, right? Now your question is, why was the seagull afraid to fly? Come on, people, let me know the answer. Come on, everyone, let me see. What have you got for the answer? He was coward. He was afraid that his wings would not support him. He was afraid that everyone would judge him, or both 1 and 2. 3, 2, 1, let's see. And yes, he was afraid that his wings will not support him. Okay, he was afraid. This is the most appropriate answer. Okay, he was afraid that his wings would not support him. All morning he had watched his parents teach his brothers and sisters. So he had watched his parents perfecting the art of flying. Okay, his brothers and sisters were taught to perfect the art of flying. He had also seen his older brother catch his first fish. Okay, so now your question is, the first fish caught by his older brother was star, jelly, herring, or buttercup? What do you think? 3, 2, 1. Let's see. It is herring. Okay, it's herring. Right, guys? The first fish which was caught by his older brother was a herring. Herring is a type of fish. All right. So they had also teased him all the morning from their perch on the opposite cliff. So they used to always mock him, make fun of him, because he was not able to take his first flight, whereas all the rest of the family members were enjoying their flight. Okay? So it was very hot and the seagull had not eaten anything, so he was very hungry. He then walked to the ledge of the cliff and pretended to fall asleep. Just as you people, when you people want attention from the others, what do? Try to seek the attention by maybe performing some kind of drama or acting. Yes. So that same pattern was followed by the young seagull. He also wanted to, he pretended. So you also pretend, right? Sometimes when you want to seek the attention of someone. So similarly, guys, the young seagull wanted to seek the attention of the family members so that they come and help him out by feeding him. So therefore, he pretended to fall asleep out of hunger, out of tiredness, hoping that at least someone would be noticing him, right? But his brothers and sisters were sleeping. His father was cleaning his wings, right? So, which means everybody was occupied and engrossed in their own activity, right? Nobody paid attention to the poor young seagull. Only his mother noticed him. What did she do? Did she notice him and then did she come and feed him? Let's see what she did. Now and then she would tear a piece of fish and then scrape her beak on the stone to sharpen it. Now just imagine the condition of the young seagull who had not eaten anything since 24 hours, since the last night, and he was completely hot because of the blazing sun, right? So just imagine imagine his condition, and in front of him, his mother was tearing a piece of fish. So just imagine, empathize with him, and just place yourself in the shoes of the young seagull. How would you have felt in that situation? Do let me know in the chat right now. If you were in place of the young seagull and you were, having the same situation in front of you, how would you have felt? Okay, so poor, helpless, right? So he was really, really helpless and he wanted to have the food badly. Now, what did he do? The young seagull was now mad with hunger, especially when he saw his mother tearing fish. He was craving to have that fish. Okay, so he was mad with hunger and he let out a cry. But his mother simply ignored him. He cried and begged again, and then he screamed with happiness when he saw his mother flying towards him with the piece of fish. So after the initial ignoring of the mother seagull, then finally the young seagull had some kind of relief, and he was very happy and joyous to see that the mother finally was flying towards him, in with the expectation that maybe now he would be getting the food and he would be satisfying his hunger. But she stopped near his ledge. The piece of fish was just within his reach, so she stopped in this position, the mother seagull. So now what do you think? What would the young seagull do? In order to get the fish, he had to take that jump, right? He had to take the very first flight. But obviously he was afraid, because initially also he had tried to take that jump, to take that first flight, but he got terrified and he went away thinking that his wings would not support him, right? But this time, necessity is the mother of invention. You know that, right? So now the necessity of having that piece of fish became so strong that he was compelled to take that leap. Okay? And the young seagull jumped forward to snatch that piece of fish. And he gave a loud scream the moment he fell. Terror seized him, his heart stopped. So at this point, guys, I would like all of you to think about that activity which you did for the very first time after overcoming your fear. Let me tell you mine. For the very first time, I was so very afraid to ride a bicycle. Yes. So even, just like the young seagull, I also had this notion that I would never ever be able to ride bicycle, or maybe after that step by step scooty and all of that, right? But yes, when I took for the very first time, when I overcame my fear and I started balancing, I also felt as the young seagull would feel right now. Because the fear only lasted for a moment, even for the young seagull and even for me when I was riding my cycle for the very first time. Maybe even for you, in whatever you did for the very first time after overcoming that initial inhibition. So do let me know about that activity, guys. Right? So then his wings spread. Action, reaction, right? So yes, stimulus response situation happened. The moment he was falling down, naturally his wings spread and he felt their tips cutting the air. He wasn't falling but soaring. Soaring is flying in the wind. So now think about the joyous situation of the young seagull and relate it with that joyous moment when you also became victorious after struggling a lot in performing that activity, which actually made you feel very, very afraid for the very first time when you were giving it the very first try. Right, guys? So now there's a question for you. What urged him to make his very first flight? Hunger, sight of fish, courage, both 1 and 2. 3, 2, 1. Have you all posted your answers in the chat? So yes, people, hunger and sight of fish, both. First of all, he was very hungry. He was craving for food. And then he saw his mother with the fish, with a piece of fish just in front of him. So both of these situations made him take his very first flight. And then finally he became successful and he was no longer afraid. He flapped his wings and flew upwards, and his family also joined him, emitting loud screams. So just related with that activity, guys, when you became victorious, your family also celebrated in your victory, right? Or they do celebrate in your victory, right? So similarly, this was the case with the young seagull as well. Forgetting that he had been afraid to fly, the young seagull now drove, curved, and soared in the air. He was so close to the sea now, and his family were already in the water calling him. And then the young seagull did so, and his legs sank in the water. Frightened, he screamed and tried to rise, and then what happened? His belly touched the water. He was no longer sinking but floating. So he learned his first flight, and he also learned how to swim. And his family was very happy, bringing him bits of fish and as a reward, right? So they started praising him. The family who used to mock him for his cowardice was now praising him, right, guys? Thus, the young seagull, with his family's help, overcame his fear and accomplished his first flight. So, you also let me know about your story when you overcame your fear and became victorious in that very activity. So do let me know your story. Do share with me your stories as well, and tell me how could you relate to the young seagull's very first flight, and do let me know how important is it to overcome that fear and take the very first flight. So just imagine if the young seagull had not done that, not mustered up the courage to take the first flight, if his family had not, forced him, compelled him to, take his very first flight, he would be dependent on his family throughout his life. He would never be able to become self-reliant, right, guys? So his family wanted to make the young seagull self-reliant because obviously the parents would not remain with him throughout, right, guys? So it is very, very important for all of us to take that very first step in our life. We all are afraid, just like the young seagull is, but just remember, like the young seagull, it is important for all of us to take the very first flight, right, guys, in our lives. Okay, so I would like to make an announcement, a very happy announcement about Vedantu launching India's first live NTSE crash course where you can have all of these subjects: mathematics, physics, chemistry, bio, mental ability, social science. And do note, guys, 139 selections in NTSE 2021 and 20 to 21, and it is still counting. So you can also be the next student to crack the NTSE exam, and you can have this NTSE subscription. What do you need to do is just visit the link, guys, which is pinned in the comment section, and you would get 60 plus hours of live classes on the entire syllabus, stage 1 and stage 2 by NTSE experts, 50 plus chapter wise and 14 plus mock tests to make you test ready. And classes taught will be live, okay, and it will be recorded and made available to watch anytime, anywhere. And you can ask unlimited doubts inside the class, and also on Vedantu's app post class you could get in-depth solution and analysis of the previous NTSE papers and summary notes for all topics, where you can have the key concepts, important formulas, and class recording. And do note, guys, if you apply the coupon code SWREPRO, don't forget to do that. You get an additional 10% discount. So what are you waiting for, guys? Hurry up and quickly visit the link in the description box and pin comment and get yourselves enrolled so that you can also be the next one to crack this particular exam. Yes. So now we would be seeing the theme of the lesson. Okay? So theme is obviously self-reliance. As I told you, if he had not taken the very first step of that first flight, then he would be always dependent on his family members to feed him. But that is not possible. We cannot always be with our parents, or our parents cannot always feed us, right? So we need to be dependent, we need to stand on our own feet, and we need to be self-reliant, right, guys? So that is what the parents always want to inculcate in their children. Similarly, the young seagull's parents also had to be strict and had to threaten him to starve, and actually they made him starve, right? But the intention behind that was really pure, and they actually loved him, right? So they loved him, and therefore they wanted to make him self-reliant. Bravery and self-confidence, yes, so they also wanted to instill self-confidence in the young seagull. That therefore they made all the they made sure that the young seagull takes his first flight. Okay. Okay, the message is very, very important, and this is a quote that will actually summarize the entire message that we get from this particular chapter. And make sure that you use this quote in your answers, in your value-based questions also, because you can get additional, additional marks. This would be really impressive for the examiner. This is the quote which is given by Nelson Mandela. What is the quote? I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The quote which I had been referring to when I began the session, right? The brave man is not the one who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. We would all feel afraid at some point of life, at some point of time in our life, to take that very first step. But do remember that fear is common. Okay? So courage is not the absence of fear. And therefore, we cannot say that the young seagull was a coward, because courage is not the absence of fear, right? It is the triumph over it. Okay, all of us feel afraid, but we need to have our victory. We need to overcome that fear, right? So, if we conquer that fear, guys, we are courageous. Yes? That is said by Nelson Mandela, and very beautifully this also summarizes the entire story. Yes, guys? Now this is the vocabulary part. I want all of you to take a very, very good look at this vocabulary, especially the words which I am mentioning. Brink is edge. Lap is to move. Shrilly. Shrilly is in a sharp voice. Upbraiding comes a lot of time in your paper. Upbraiding is to rebuke or to scold. Okay, very, very important. Devour also comes. Okay, so devour means eat. Sound of a bird. Cackle is the sound of a bird. And then dozing is sleeping. Plaintively is sadly. Okay, beckoning. Beckoning means calling, right? And the rest you can obviously take care of, right? But these are the most important words which you should not forget, right? Especially upbraiding. Upbraiding comes a lot of times in your paper. So I hope you people enjoyed the session, yes, and also understood the moral lesson for all of us. It has a very practical life lesson for all of us. Yes, guys? So the answer to the riddle is your name. You carry it, but it never becomes heavy, right? So how many of you have got the answer to the riddle absolutely correct? Give me a quick high five, and do let me know how many questions could you attend in today's session correctly without making any mistake. How many questions, guys? Tell me in the chat box. All of them? Let me know in the chat box, guys. And don't forget to visit the link to actually subscribe to the Vedantu's NTSE subscription. Okay, and don't forget to use the coupon code SWREPRO and get an additional 10% discount. Here is the homework answer, guys. What is your impression of the reaction of the parents in the story? Please do let me know your answers in the comment section for the homework question, and we get a chance to be the next homework rocker. Alright, guys. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the video amongst your friends, and subscribe to the channel in case you haven't. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye. See you.